Sonic the Hedgehog. The character has been around for nearly 30 years and shows no signs of stopping. As a Sonic fan myself, I decided to set out on a journey to discover just what exactly made this character so great. To answer this question, I've decided to look through the character's past games, comics, and TV shows to find out just what it was. This is Sonic the Hedgehog, the perfect character. Now, I'm going to explore Sonic as a character built for storytelling and gameplay, and how those two individual components have been used in excellent ways in and out of gameplay. First, let's tackle Sonic's character. Sonic the Hedgehog is the perfect example of what is known as a flat character arc. Character arcs in fiction are split into different categories, such as the positive character arc and the negative character arcs, which are the two most common in fiction. The point of a positive character arc is to have a character start off believing in a lie which they are consumed by, but over the course of their story, they realize the truth and no longer believe in the lie. In contrast, the negative character arc is the opposite, in which the character goes from believing in the truth and then is changed to believe in the lie instead. But Sonic is an example of a much more difficult arc to write. As K.M. Weiland states, in a flat arc, the character starts out already in possession of the truth and then uses the truth to bring positive change in the world around him. This means, although the character may grow and mature in terms of how they act throughout the story, their beliefs and actions are always working towards the same goal, and their change is not the point of the story. Sonic at his core, well, I'll just let him explain it.
Go.
It's what I do. Just keep moving, doing good, saving folks, and living as free as the wind. Living by my way. My own way.
Going through past Sonic media, such as Sonic SatAM or Sonic X, you can see that Sonic never really changes. It can be argued that by the end of Sonic X, he's more mature than he started off, but he never changes his beliefs by the end of the series, thus, he's still a flat character. Now, Sonic being a flat character is such an amazing tool for storytelling. As a writer myself, I always pay attention to how authors do what they do, and not to say positive and negative arcs are bad, or even worse, but a flat character arc is more flexible when put into storytelling and is a natural catalyst for the plot to happen and for change to occur in both other characters and the world. Why, you may ask? Simple. With Sonic being a flat character, you can put him in his typical action-adventure setup, or perhaps a mystery story, maybe a zombie apocalypse story. Like I said, if a character doesn't have a flat arc, they can still be great characters, but the story usually is in service of their change, and you need to wait for their arc to come to a point of completion before you can put them into new scenarios and a new story. Sonic being a flat character means that the entire cast in the Sonic series and its world, regardless of how unclear it can be sometimes, has him as a natural catalyst for change, whether that be positive or negative. Now, I know I said he didn't change much in the cartoons, but before I talk about this character's other fantastic aspects, I want to address his change in the games. You remember that video I showed you about Sonic at his core? Well, no game quite captures that magic like... I don't mean to skip over the importance of SA1, but all these points I'm about to make kind of work for both games, so let's just combine both of those into this one section of the video. Sonic in the adventure games is faced with situations he's never really handled before. Yeah, he's been to space, but now he's dealing with an evil faker? He's being labeled a worldwide terrorist? Sonic in these games, it was really the first time that we got a true glimpse at his personality and his true character. He was filled with snark and attitude as he always was, but let's face it, he was a little bit more rude in these games. But he always had his heart in the right place, so even if he was cocky and overconfident, he was always trying to do the right thing. Next, we have... He is still clearly in his adventure mindset of immature behavior, but you could tell he still had complete trust in his friends and was less rude to the likes of Knuckles, and it came more from a place of cocky, friendly banter. Even going so far as to compliment Knuckles, taking him by surprise. Now, in the years following, some call him a blank character, but I couldn't disagree more, honestly. He was stagnant and uninvolved in Shadow, but in 06, he went through a pretty large character change. He was no longer cocky and confident, but instead he acted more like a friendly adventurer ready to lend a helping hand to anyone in need with minimal amounts of attitude. Other than to Eggman, of course. As he had more friendly banter with Knuckles and members of Team Dark. I'd say it was like this in Unleashed as well. Peak friendly Sonic, let's call him. If I could describe Unleashed in one way, it would be he's...
I'm used to stuff like this!
Now before I move on, I need to talk about this scene. People always gush over the opening to Unleash, and don't misunderstand me, that opening is great. It's gorgeous, beautiful animation, and completely encapsulates everything great about Sonic and Eggman. But when compared to this, it's just, wow, it's so good. The entire environment is so foreign to Sonic, even for a character such as him, who's had a long, strained history of wacky adventures. But even so, after being randomly summoned, the first thing he does is catch his chili dogs. You can see it through this, although it's a strange event, he isn't really scared so much as just taken aback, not even really truly surprised, just a mild confusion. As Merlina asks for forgiveness due to her abrupt summons, he just looks at her and at the demons and King Arthur and makes a clear assessment of the situation. And then effortlessly, with a cocky smile on his face, takes down hordes of demons and stares King Arthur straight in the face, even though King Arthur has a dominating presence. You can tell in Unleashed in Black Knight, he isn't ever overconfident by having a loud mouth. He's definitely all about what he's always been all about, but would rather put his money where his mouth is straight off the bat, first using actions rather than words, but still spouts a cocky one-liner when he gets the chance. His more attitude 90s heavy interpretation and his more modern friendly interpretation I love for completely different reasons and some that are similar, even if I do prefer the more friendly Sonic. But the reason I wanted to describe his changes is because it shows how Sonic has grown and matured over the years, and it's something I loved ever since I first played Unleashed. You might even compare the character to a classic shonen protagonist, akin to the likes of Goku specifically. Even though from Colors onward he was, well, written horribly to say the least. Now I can't avoid talking about this if I'm going into Sonic's character because, wow. I have no clue how you screw up this bad. Like, okay, Pontac and Graf clearly didn't know the first thing about Sonic as a character after being handed this gaming icon. They still didn't put forth the effort to write the character correctly, let alone the rest of the Sonic cast. Unless Sega themselves are trying to change the characters for the worst, the utter lack of understanding and respect to the series in the writing department isn't helped by the fact that not only is the writing inaccurate to the characters, but it's just bad. Unfunny jokes that would even make the youngest of children wince. But I cannot deny that at least in Sonic Forces, I think they nailed Sonic's personality. He's cocky and spouting some actually pretty funny one-liners at times during cutscenes, and yet he's still super supportive of his friends with that friendly banter he's known for with the ensemble cast. It's a great combo of the more actions speak louder than words friendly Sonic I love, and the 90s attitude. But as you can see, Sonic has matured over the years to be more modern, but still retains his old ways filled with cocky behavior. He's just smarter of knowing when it's appropriate to get away with the sick one-liner. But the reason for Sonic's change is why I believe he's such a perfect character. A story about government experiments or fighting gods, and even about him and the ultimate life form alongside a time traveler all banding together to turn into super forms using mystical emeralds that held sacred by an ancient Echidna tribe. It all works. Regardless of the execution of some of these examples, I believe it to be 100% impossible for those stories to still not work on paper. Heck, with a couple of rewrites, they work in such emotionally impactful ways. Sonic is a perfect device for storytelling and is a character with endless potential. But what does this mean in terms of his gameplay? This will, without a doubt, be a shorter section of the video, as I believe it's almost self-explanatory. Sonic, as previously mentioned, is all about moving forward and helping people. As I said, lends itself to excellent and natural storytelling. But seeing as these are often story-driven games, even when the story is at its blandest, it's perfect for gameplay too. Sonic and his need for speed is such a perfectly awesome combination. I don't need to explain his design, it's perfect. You see it and immediately go, it's Sonic. And even if you don't, you see it and you understand his personality and his craving for speed at a single glance. Which is exactly why his games are so captivating. During the era he was created, Sonic was made to be bigger, better, faster, and that's exactly what he was. But as the years went on, it became apparent that he needed to be grander and more ambitious. which, as I just explained with this character, it practically demands scope. Sonic in design, personality, and gameplay demand presence and scope. If you play a Sonic level and don't walk away thinking it is the fastest, grandest adventure you have ever been on, then something is very wrong. Sonic's natural personality and his need for speed is what encourages you to want to go fast in gameplay. His active character makes you, as the player, want to take him on this grand journey going as fast as you possibly can. Thus, as simple as it may be, Sonic games shouldn't be easy to make. The character was born from a need for success and ambition to conquer the video game king. And if he isn't written, programmed, and represented with that demand for spectacle and respect he deserves, well then, that's not the Sonic I and an entire generation grew up with. I hope I've made my point clear about my love for this character and the endless potential he has in any media he takes form in. I knew this video would be one of my most passionate as I love this character with all my heart. I have my whole life. My first ever video game was Sonic Adventure 2. And as I continue to venture to tell my own stories, express my own opinions, and try to make characters just as fantastic as Sonic, I hope you understand why Sonic, viewed from a narrative stance and gameplay stance, is without question a perfect character.